Hello everyone, it's Brandy here. I love to make my own backgrounds and I love to use designer series paper and paper with textures and shimmer and glitter and gloss and shine. So I was really excited. I went shopping and I came home with some grocery store shopping bags. And as I was putting them away and heading to the recycle bin, I started to feel the textures of those bags. And I was really excited because I thought, oh my gosh, that craft color and the texture, I bet it would be beautiful if we stamp on it and make a fantastic background. So I'm really excited to show you the backgrounds that I've come up with today. And we're going to use the beautiful stamp set called Inspirational Sketches. So I can't hardly wait. I have a sparrow that I'll be coloring for you today, as well as some flowers and so forth. So I'm going to show you exactly how I created this. And if you go to BrandysCards.com, you will see the tutorials there. Yes, I will have the tutorials on my blog. So you want to go to BrandysCards.com/blog. And if you don't find it right there, maybe you find this video later, just type in Inspirational Sketches in the search bar. You can also type in there Notes of Nature. So we're going to use that stamp set too. So just type that in there and that should come up for you. Okay. So I'm going to jump right in here and I'm going to show you the stamp set that I'm going to use today. Inspirational Sketches. It's a beauty. And I love this bird. I was trying to determine what type of bird it was. And so I think he could be a sparrow. And so I Googled sparrows and I found some fabulous pictures that I thought resembled this little guy. Now to make my background, I used Notes of Nature. I loved the splatters. I liked the little grid and so forth. So I'm excited to show you exactly how I made the background for that. But first, you know what we need to do? We need to get started with our shopping bag. So what I need is I need a flat space. So I've got some handles on here, so I'm just going to carefully pull my handles off, okay? So once I pull my handles off, I've got some big scissors here because it's just easier. And I find my flat panels are kind of along, one of your long sides. And so I'm also looking for parts of my shopping bag that doesn't have creases already. Now you can emboss this shopping bag, and so you wouldn't have to worry as much about the creases. But I'm looking for kind of, I'm gonna just set that aside. I'm looking for a long panel that I can stamp on and it's clean. So this side, I'm looking at this side, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my trimmer and we are just going to cut this guy down to size. And so this cuts beautifully in your trimmer. And so what I would do is I would start out by cutting yourself just a straight edge. So that's where I would start. And then once you get a straight edge there, then I would turn it 90 degrees and I would cut myself another straight edge. And then that makes it a whole lot easier when you have two straight edges along the bottom, because now it's flush, and you have a nice straight edge along the left, so I can line it up on my trimmer. So that's how I did that. Now, what am I going to do here is I am going to cut that to size. And so I just need to, I'm looking over here to see what size this is. So I have one here. So this looks like it's 3 3/4. And so I'm pretty certain this one is probably 5 inches. Yes, at the top of my cutting board. So 3 3/4 is what I'm going to cut this. So here we go, 3 3/4. And then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and I'm going to cut it here at 5. So I'm looking at the numbers here on the top of my cutting board. And I'm going to cut that just like that. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go ahead and stamp our background. This is so much fun. Now you're going to want some scrap paper because we are stamping the background. And sometimes you can, you might stamp off. So we definitely need some scrap paper in here. And the colors we're going to use today for our card, and I want to pull it up here so I have an example, is we are going to use, I have pecan pie. So let's open our pecan pie. We are also going to use garden green. Yeah, wait till you see garden green on this beautiful craft paper. And then I've got copper clay here, which I don't think I actually used copper clay on this piece, so we're gonna set that one aside. But boho blue, yeah, I've got blue on here too. And then we also have early espresso. So those are the colors that I'm going to use as I stamp on my paper. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in this stamp, and it looks like I haven't cleaned the ink off from last time, but that's okay. I'm gonna use the same colors. I've had so much fun making these and was just so excited to show it to you. So this piece here is from the Notes of Nature stamp set. I'm gonna ink that up in Pecan Pie. And I think I want to turn it this direction. I like how down here's got a little bit of a crease. I don't mind that, but for my stamping up here, I want that to be straight, and I want that to be that pecan pie. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my leaf. My leaf is going to be garden green. So I'm going to ink up the leaf in garden green, and you can stamp this straight on for a dark image, or you can stamp it off. Yeah, so look at that. So, but I'm going to come up here and use the stamped off image for my leaf at the top. Then I'm going to bring in my little sprig, and that one is going to be boho blue. Now boho blue I think looks good. I honestly think I might like it better stamped off, but I'm going to show it to you both ways. So I'm going to go ahead and do the dark boho blue up here. And then I'm going to come down here, and I think we're going to do a little boho blue in there. But I'm kind of feeling like I might want a boho blue. Oh, actually, you know, I don't know. Do I want to do it? I mean, why not? We're going to put a boho blue right down there at the bottom. Now, it's a little hard to see there because I did stamp off, but we are well on our way. Okay? So now what I have is this fun grid. So I'm going to take my grid and I'm going to ink it up in early espresso. Now, if you had crumb cake, you could actually use the crumb cake if you wanted to. I just stamped off my early espresso a couple of times, and I found that that will give me that kind of light texture that I'm looking for, that grid that I was looking for. All right, now my favorite thing is my speckles. Who doesn't love some good speckles? So here we go. Let's add our speckles on here. Let's see, where do I want that? So these are early espresso speckles. Yours can be whatever you would like. Okay, so you can make those whatever, you know, whatever fits your fancy. So I actually think I like that a lot. So I'm just going to leave it just like that. Okay, now up next, I'm going to show you how I colored my sparrow. And I'm going to use a Stampin' Up blender pen. And I'm just going to use my ink pads. And wait till you see how beautiful your bird can be. Now, you can, you know, you can change the colors, of course. But I recommend going to the internet and Googling sparrows, or maybe you have a bird book that you can look in. It'll give you ideas and inspiration. You know, I've seen some of them with yellows and blues. I decided to keep my bird fairly neutral, and I'm going to show you the picture that gave me the inspiration. So here's the picture that I found, and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. And so this was kind of the bird that I was aiming for. And let me show you where I ended up. Yeah, so my bird's pretty close. Now I don't have the blues in there. And you know, I just kind of put my copper clay where I liked it. But as you can see, I could add some blues in there, and I could add a bit of yellow if I wanted. But that's what makes it so much fun, is you can really get to, you know, get playing with this and make it your own. So let's go ahead and bring in my small piece of basic white cardstock here. And this piece is going to be for my bird. Now my bird is going to be stamped in early espresso. Now in this scenario, I'm actually going to color him and hand cut him out. Oh my goodness, is that not just gorgeous? Now, I actually have another one that I stamped earlier today, and I'm going to use this one because I want to make sure that one's good and dry. Now I have, let's see, I've got my boho blue here, and I have my garden green, so I'm going to leave those open, but I'm going to set those two aside, and I'm going to bring in two more colors. I'm going to bring in crumb cake, so let's add crumb cake to the mix. So we have pecan pie, we have crumb cake, we have early espresso, and then I have copper clay. So that will make it a little bit easier as I color this for you. So let me just kind of get that centered. And you know, I don't know if having those big stamp pads in there is really what I want. So I'm going to move those over to the side. I feel like that might be just a little bit crowding me. Okay, so blender pen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up some color here on my stamp pads. Okay, so I'm just going to touch my stamp pad and pick up a bit of color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my bird and I'm just going to add some strokes, right? I'm not really coloring him necessarily, but what I'm trying to do is trying to get, just tapping my, actually, you know what? I'm going to use a different one because I noticed that I've already kind of sploogied right there. Let me try this again. All right, there we go, better. So I just have to kind of get comfortable in my space here. Having the camera underneath me makes it a little bit harder to color. But as you can see, I am just adding some strokes. You know, the stamp set is called Sketches, right? It's an Inspirational Sketches. So it's definitely kind of those wispy lines, if you will. So it's kind of like a sketch. And so I'm going to bring early espresso over here while I'm kind of doing that. Okay. And so I'm just coming in here and I'm just adding, I'm kind of focusing on some of these darker lines is what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of going back and forth and touching my stamp pad and adding the color to my bird. And we're going to do that with all of the stamp pads, with all of the colors we have here until we're happy with the color and, you know, the texture of our bird. Now remember, you can always add more. And as you're doing this, let's say you're like, okay, I'm afraid that I'm going to get it too dark and I'm nervous. Well, just kind of tap it off onto your paper because that's how you're going to get some of that ink off. And then you can kind of get a lighter color. But as you can see, he's coming together beautifully, and I've only added one color. Can you imagine if you know, took some blues and some other colors in there? He would be stunning. All right. So I think we're going to do one more right in here. Kind of, you know, have a nice dark, kind of a dark accent right there in the center. So I am loving that so far. And now to clean off my brush, I'm just going to kind of work it on my paper, just like that. Okay, so that's how I clean off my brush. Now I'm gonna switch out early espresso and we're gonna bring in some of our pecan pie. Now there's your pecan pie color. So it's definitely a little bit lighter, kind of has that more, you know, kind of a more brown tone to it. So now we're gonna add that into the bird and really bring him to life just by these small strokes. And remember, if I kind of brush it back and forth, I can get it, you know, I can get it a little bit darker. But if I just kind of hang tight with sort of that streaky, you know, with like the nice little streaks, then I can just add some of that color in there quite nicely. So isn't that pretty? So I want to kind of go with the idea that less is more for right now, while I add, you know, because I want to add some of the other colors to him as well. Now the color that you have to be a little careful with is what we're going to go to next. That one is our copper clay. Now the reason you have to be careful on that one is because, well, that one's quite a bit darker, isn't it? And so we're going to add some of that kind of that copper color on him. But again, it is quite a dark color, and you don't want to, you know, you don't want to add too much where it starts to, you know, it kind of takes over your bird. Do you see how dark that color is? So when you touch that, see that? So here we go. We're going to kind of come in here and just very carefully add a few streaks in here just to bring him to life even a bit more with some of this copper type color. And just kind of add it in here. And again, it's just sort of those wispy, and I have to tell you, I have not had any of my birds turn out the same yet. And I'm totally okay with that because, you know, birds are unique just like we are. And so I think that is the beauty of it. Okay, so I think we're well on our way. So I think I'm good with that. Now I'm going to bring in some crumb cake. And I'm going to have to clean off my brush. This one, I'm going to have to, you know, kind of move it around a little bit more because that one is quite a bit darker of a color. So here is crumb cake. Crumb cake is kind of a, you know, it's a neutral type color. And I'm going to use my crumb cake to kind of come in and honestly just to kind of darken and soften the white a little bit. Just to kind of just soften the white a little bit. You know how sometimes birds, you know, maybe underneath they're white, but they kind of have a little bit more of a dirty, it's kind of a dirty white. So that's kind of where I'm going with that in there. And then you can also sort of, if you want to kind of fill in some of and soften some of the other colors that you've added to him, you certainly can do so. And of course, if you're looking to, you know, make something a little bit darker or add some more color, you certainly can do that as well. So I think he's turned out beautiful. You know, you could come back in and let's say you wanted to, you know, bring it all together a little more. You could even go back to that early espresso if you wanted to. But I think I like him just like that. Now, when that dries, let me pull him up here. Now, when that dries, it will look beautiful just like that. Now, I did one earlier before we went on camera. And there's the one that I did earlier, and I just hand cut him out. But again, you could add some blues in there. You could add a hint of yellow if you wanted to. So he is beautiful. So, so pretty. I hope that you like him. So I'm just going to set some of these stamp pads aside because I certainly don't want to put my hands in them. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our card together. So what you're going to need, and I have it all right over here. It's pretty easy peasy at this point. So I have a basic white card base. I've already scored that. And again, all of the sizes and the dimensions are on BrandysCards.com. So just visit Brandy's Cards and you'll be able to find all of the sizes and the dimensions there. And I'm just adding some liquid adhesive. You could certainly use the adhesive of your choice. And I'm going to center this piece right in the center of my basic white cardstock. So it's right there in the center. And I really like the texture of this. I'm totally fine if it's not, you know, perfectly flat or it's absolutely perfect. I don't think it needs to be. And then I have just a small piece of white. I'm going to use my Stampin' Up Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put that here on the back. And then I'm going to add my bird. And it's so amazing just how beautiful he is on this background. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of center this piece right here where I kind of like it in the center of my card. And then after you hand cut your bird out, right? So you're going to hand cut this bird out with scissors, with your snips. He's actually very easy to do. And I can see here I forgot his legs. And I also forgot to color the tree branch. And so on this one, I did do that. And I believe I did early espresso on the branch. And I did crumb cake on his legs. So those are the colors that I used so that when you color your bird. And I'm going to flip that over. And we're going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals behind this guy. And then we're going to add him to our card. So, so, so pretty. And I can't wait to continue to play with this one. And I can't hardly wait to show you the other cards I created too. So there that is. Oh, so beautiful. Now the finishing touch on this one is I have some of those neutral adhesive back sequins. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm just going to add a couple of my neutral sequins right here to my card. Oh, I just love it, and I hope that you do too. And so I'm going to show you an envelope that I created with it. And I'm also going to show you another idea. Check this one out. You can also stamp another piece, and that piece can be kind of a surprise on the inside. Isn't that cool? I just think that is fantastic. And you can also take another piece of this shopping bag, if you will, and stamp this exact same design throughout this shopping bag, throughout this piece of paper. And then you can glue it to the top of an envelope flap, and then trim it around the back. And now look at that. You have a beautiful coordinating piece of stationery. Yeah? Isn't that fantastic? Oh my gosh, I just love this. So if you haven't done so already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe. I have been so excited to share these cards with you, but I'm not done. I have another one for you yet. Now, let me show you the next card, and I'm going to kind of give you an idea of, I don't know, where my inspiration came from. So I never really showed you that at the beginning. So again, I love textures, and Stampin' Up! Used to sell a craft paper that I love. Well, they no longer sell that craft paper, but when they did, I created this super fun card with the squirrel. And I loved how the Cajun craze stamped on this background. Isn't that precious? Now this is now a retired stamp set, unfortunately, but I just loved this, and I've been holding on to this card that I created some time ago, and was really excited to use it as my inspiration. So that's kind of where I started with that. Now, before I show you that next card, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please be sure to reach out to me. I'd love the opportunity to earn your business, answer any questions that you might have. So you can go to brandyscards.com/contact. That's where you can contact me. Send me an email. Make sure that you send me your shipping and mailing address so that I can send you some Happy Mail. We love to send Happy Mail to our customers. So we would love to send you one of those and get you on your way to creating cards. And gosh, those books are fantastic ideas and inspiration books. So, okay, I'm going to show you this next card. So here's the next card that I created. And this is using that fun background that we just talked about, that we just did. Isn't that awesome? Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so to create that background, I did the exact same thing. And so let's see here. I've already cut my piece, my shopping bag. And so this one, you can see that I stamped my grid back here, and I stamped enjoy the journey. So I stamped off and then stamped that on so that I could have a light enjoy the journey in the background. And then I took and added another layer of my texture on here. So on top of this layer, I added another small strip, and then I stamped another strip and added it on top. So that's where I got the texture on this card. Now, to bring this flower to life, let me show you how I did that. So to do that, I did a couple of different things. So I stamped on my paper, on my shopping bag paper, right, my craft paper here, and then I also stamped my flower on a piece of basic white. And then I just cut out this flower. So I just kind of worked my way around and I cut this flower out. And you can see, you don't have to be too careful. It is going to be mounted on another piece of white. So what I find is it's fairly forgiving because of that. So just kind of work your way around and cut out your flower. And then after you cut your flower out, well, then you're going to do the same thing with your craft paper. You're going to decide, okay, which flowers or which part do I want to highlight and cut out? And so in this scenario, let's see here, I think I went with, let's just go with this one. Okay, so I think I went with this flower here. So this flower is what I cut out, and I just worked my way around that flower. And then, so I don't have to cut that whole thing out for you right now, but that's what I did is I cut this flower out right here. And then I went over here to these little guys and I just sort of, just carefully kind of went around them and, you know, just cut them out to the best of my ability and kind of came back up. I didn't, you know, I didn't worry too much. I did cut them apart, so I didn't get too close or get, you know, too caught up in that, but I did cut them apart right about in here, just so that they were differentiated just a little bit. Okay, so that's how I got that piece right there. This piece I used dimensionals and popped it up here. This is a adhesive back neutral sequin. So that's what that is. And then this here would be the flower that I'd cut out from that piece. So see, so much fun. And let's check out the inside of this one. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that awesome? So much fun. And then I have my envelope here. And so I took my, I took my envelope flap and I used early espresso and I stamped my flower all the way around my early espresso. It looks like I just lost a little gem. Little guy got away from me here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab another one and put it on here. These are your metallic, your rustic metallic adhesive back dots. They're pretty awesome, and I think they work really well with this card. And so you can see I've got my background on my envelope, and then I've got, you know, my flowers and early espresso. Just a wonderful, you know, kind of vintagey background that just goes beautifully. All right. So now if you haven't given me a thumbs up yet, I hope that you will do so and subscribe to Brandy's Cards. I have got a lot more fun stuff coming for you. Speaking of that, there's another stamp in this set and I created with that one too. So let me show you that stamp set again. And then we will look at that last card I have for you. So I showed you the bird and I showed you the flowers. Well, how about these mushrooms? One of my most favorite things are shiitake mushrooms, portobello mushrooms. I love them all. I love morel mushrooms. So I grew up in Michigan, and my mom's significant other, he goes looking for morels. And oh my gosh, they are amazing, and they're so good. And so anyway, I was excited to color this one. So let me show you what I ended up with. So again, this is my grocery bag. How fun. And you're probably wondering like, oh wow, there's texture on there and there's other fun stuff on there. So that one, I inked up my embossing folder. I ran that through the embossing folder and then I used my early espresso and I stamped myself some splotches. So much fun. I colored my mushrooms just the exact same way that I colored my bird. And then I had an extra little piece here that I just kind of, you know, added to the inside of my card just for something, something a bit more. So all of the sizes and the dimensions are on Brandy's Cards. So feel free to hop on over there to download your free tutorials. So there's our bird, there's our mushroom. And here is our flowers. So which one do you like best? Oh my gosh, it's hard to pick one, isn't it? They're all so beautiful, but I have to say, I think I like the bird, but then I like the flowers, but then I love to eat mushrooms on my pizza. So I'm so torn, but I love them all. And I hope that you have enjoyed this card tutorial, and I hope that you give them a try. You know, you can use the same type of coloring with this blender pen and your stamp pads or maybe some ink refills. You can do this at home with other stamp sets. It is so much fun. And of course, next time you go to the grocery store, you might ask for a shopping bag. You know, one of their paper shopping bags, and cut it up and start stamping on it. Stamp on it with all kinds of colors and see what you like best. Now, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please be sure to reach out to me at brandyscards.com/contact. I'd love to answer any questions you have. I do have a beginner series that goes through all of the beginners of stamping, about the different stamp sets that we offer and our ink pads, our different markers, which stamp pads, which blacks to use with which markers, so we can get you on your way. And of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you're a current customer of Brandy's Cards, thank you. I'm so grateful for you. And I hope you too feel comfortable reaching out if you ever need something or have any questions. I certainly am grateful for you, and I appreciate your business so much. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget to go to brandyscards.com to get your free tutorial. Bye, everyone.